Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Saturday, June 19th, 2021. And again, for years, been proving how professional sports are scripted and how they pay tribute to history. Want to show you something amazing about the death of Martin Luther King Jr., the man from Atlanta who was a member of the Boule, which was established in Philadelphia and is now headquartered in Atlanta. Like in the NBA, you have Philly and Atlanta. And this comes right after the Boule members, Kobe and Jordan, came together again with the Hall of Fame induction this year on May 15th, the Boule's birthday. Kobe inducted into the Hall of Fame by Michael Jordan, the two men who share so much in terms of history. And if you're new here, Gematria, which we'll talk more about. But this year, the Atlanta Hawks debuted the MLK jersey on January 18th, which was MLK Day this year. And if you look it up, the Pope actually had one of those jerseys 3 days before they were debuted on MLK's birthday, January 15th, and the Pope blessed the jersey. Just like the Pope blessed Super Bowl 51, which the Atlanta Falcons were in. And if you know my work, you know the connection between the first Jesuit Pope and the Jesuit city of Atlanta, where the football team's ran by Arthur Blank, who has the September 27th birthday, the same day the Jesuits were recognized by Rome and the Catholic Church. But as we get into this, I also want to remind about Kwame Brown, who's become the biggest sensation on YouTube in the time of the NBA playoffs, who got all of his attention on May 15th, the Boule's birthday. He says he's broadcasting out of somewhere near down in Atlanta. The Boule's now headquartered in Atlanta. But again, Kwame got all this attention on May 15th, the Boule's birthday, the same day that Kobe went into the Hall of Fame, with the ceremony done by Jordan. And again, Kobe's from Philly, like the Boule's originally from Philly. Jordan played his last game against Philly. Remember how Jordan's last game synced with Kobe's last game? It's all written about in books. But anyway, Kwame Brown, what's so interesting about him in light of the NBA, or the Boule, is, remember, Sigma Pi Phi is the real name of the Boule. Sigma Pi Phi, which has gematria of 55, using the Greek alphabet. Sigma's the 18th letter, pi is the 16th, and phi is the 21st. So 16 plus 18, or 18 plus 16 plus 21 is 55. And in gematria, Boule equals 55 when you just use the alphabetic order and make A1, B2, C3 up to Z, the 26 letters, 26. You just add up. B is 2, O's the 15th letter, it's 15. U's the 21st letter, it's 21. L's the 12th, E's the 5th. Boule 55. When you run the alphabetic order in reverse with the rules of numerology, Sigma Pi Phi is 55, which is the official name of Boule. And again, in Greek isopsephy, those letters add up to 55. And remember, Kobe died on the 257th day of the Boule's age. 257 is the 55th prime number. Los Angeles Lakers equals 257. His memorial was on the 55th day of the year, February 24th. His wife's birthday is 5/5. So Kwame Brown got all this focus this year on the Boule's birthday. And what's interesting about the name Kwame Brown is in the same cipher as Sigma Pi Phi, Kwame Brown is 55. And notice how Kwame's name, Kwame is 5 letters and Brown is 5 letters, right? It's 5 and 5 and 55. And it's possible this is organic. It's possible that he's not a member of the Boule. But remember, he played with Kobe and Jordan. There's not a lot of guys who can say that. Andy was drafted by Jordan. And again, it's just, you got to go. The thing is, he was making videos before May 15th. He'd been making videos. He'd done a video with Tommy Sotomayor the year prior on the 42nd day of the year, which is also curious. But again, Kwame Brown gets all this attention, becomes the sensation of YouTube at the time of the NBA playoffs, at the time of these rituals. He's down near Atlanta. And again, MLK from Atlanta. And look at this, you guys. MLK. I've always talked about MLK's death on April 4th. Wrote about it in a big way in my first book. One of the things that helped me learn about Gematria was MLK's death, because I always knew there was something funny with it. I knew that he gave a speech that most people don't know about, April 4th, 1967, which got him blacklisted by Lyndon B. Johnson and the media for the last year of his life. But he gave it on 4/4/67 at the Riverside Church in New York, beyond Vietnam, A Time to Break Silence, where he went against the military of the U.S., and he said it is the true source of all the hatred and racism in the world and in this country. But he was killed exactly a year to the day later, 4/4/68. And again, if you look into Malcolm X, the day he was killed, it was a date with 44 numerology. In Gematria, kill and executioner, 44, so it was African American. The first black president ends up being Obama, number 44. But look at this. Yesterday, this huge ritual in Atlanta on the 68-year anniversary of the marriage of MLK to his wife. He was married 68 years ago, June 18th, 1953. And of course, he was assassinated in 68. And again, if you're new here, Gematria, it's very simple. It's based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with the rules numerology. Basketball is 68 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse with the rules numerology. Mathematics is 68 in that cipher. Catholicism is 68 in that cipher. There's a lot more to this, but remember, MLK was killed on the 95th day of 1968, which was a leap year. Normally, it's the 94th day of the year. Notice the score went out last night, 93-94 in Atlanta, after Trae Young's crazy three-pointer, and then the lights went out when it went from 93 to 94. Martin Luther King Jr. is 93, just like Malcolm X. Again, the two men who only met one day in history, March 26, 64, a date with 93 numerology. But Martin Luther King Jr. was killed April 4th, which is normally the 94th day of the year, but he was killed in a leap year, so it was the 95th day. And the thing is, Martin Luther, who led the Protestant Reformation, wrote the 95 Theses, which created the Jesuits, who were recognized by Rome on the day leaving 95 days left in the year. So Martin Luther King Jr., who assumed the name after Martin Luther, ends up getting assassinated on the 95th day of 68, 3 days before the Club of Rome was established, April 7th, 68. He was killed April 4th, 68. 3 days later, the Club of Rome established. And again, there's a lot more to all of this, but 68 is such a big number with MLK that year. If you haven't read my latest book, Number Games, the second chapter is about the year 1968, which I wrote about a lot in my first book as well. 1968, such a big year. But again, just this huge ritual with the basketball team, who this year debuted the MLK jersey on January 18th. What's interesting about that is from the day the jersey debuted, January 18th, to yesterday's game, which was the anniversary of MLK's wedding, it was 151 days later, which is the 36th prime number. And MLK's birthday is 15/1, January 15th. On that day this year, the Pope blessed the MLK jersey. And so 151 days after its debut, the 36th prime, Atlanta loses in Atlanta on the anniversary of MLK's wedding while they're wearing the MLK jersey that was brand new this year. And here's where it gets more interesting. From the anniversary of MLK's assassination to the game yesterday on the anniversary of his wedding, the 68-year anniversary, it was 75 days later. And Martin equals 75. This is the 75th NBA season this year. The 75th NBA season. And remember, we're saying the Catholic Church and the Jesuits are behind this. Here's my post from September of 2018. New World Order pledge to Jews. New York Times, October 6, 1940. Now consider the New York Times has always been a Jesuit-controlled publication. Right now, the man who's the head of it is a Jesuit. It's been this way all throughout history with the New York Times. And by the way, when you write out the New York Times, or excuse me, it's not, well, the 75 is in there and 78, but just New York Times is also 177, like the Jesuit order 177, like propaganda 177. And remember, the word propaganda was invented by the Catholic Church. But the point is, in the New York Times, which is controlled by the Jesuits, they had this headline from October 6, 1940 about the New World Order pledge to the Jews, right? And just like I said back then, I said, well, who would have the right to pledge that to anybody? And remember, that day it had 75 numerology. New World Order is 75. Order out of chaos is 75. The word order is 75. So is Catholic Church. Catholic Church, 75, right? 75th NBA season. Remember, Kobe. Kobe equals 75. He died while traveling to Catholic Mass. This is the 75th season. Kobe's from Philly. LA wins the finals after his death. The Lakers, his team. The next year, Remember what I said before the season began. Before the season began, I thought the Western Conference Finals was going to be LA and Phoenix, but I thought it was going to be the Lakers in Phoenix. It's the Clippers in Phoenix instead. So we weren't far off. I thought the Western Conference Finals, again, if you've seen my work from before the season began, I had Lakers Phoenix for the Western Conference Finals. Saw the reason for this LA Phoenix matchup. Well, it is LA and Phoenix. I just should have thought more about Kawhi, I guess. But again, this whole season's in tribute to Kobe. And remember, Devin Booker got the big tribute right after Kobe's death, along with Trae Young. They're some of the big stars in this year's finals, two of the biggest storylines. But again, these ciphers, got to know them forwards and backwards with the rules numerology. But this is a huge ritual with Martin Luther King Jr. in the 75th season, again, 75 days after his death anniversary. But there's a gentleman from the UK who's learned about Gematria recently, and he's been going really deep with his decodes, and he's been doing great work. And he caught something about this 76ers Hawks series by just going back further in history. He measured from the day that MLK was assassinated, April 4th, 68, to the day of yesterday's game, Game 6 on the 68-year anniversary of his wedding, and he saw it was 19,433 days. And that happens to be a prime number, and it's the 2,203rd prime, 2203. And remember, when zero's in the middle of a number, it doesn't really matter, but we always talk about 223 with Philadelphia, and we've been pointing this out with Philadelphia. Philadelphia, their last loss was at home, and in their last playoff loss, they got their 223rd all-time playoff loss and their 76th loss at home, right? They're the 76ers from Philadelphia. We're always talking about Philadelphia in 223 because in Gematria, Philadelphia is 223 when you run the alphabetic order in reverse. And when you write out the phrase, the synagogue of Satan, it equals 223. And that comes from Revelation in the Bible, where the letters written to the Church of Philadelphia about the false Jews who are the synagogue of Satan, who are liars. And again, that goes back to the whole Jesuit-controlled paper pledging the New World Order to the Jews by the numbers, October 6, 1940, during World War II, years before Israel by the numbers. Remember, Israel was established May 14th, 14/5, like 145, when Catholics 145, and there's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament than the Protestant Old Testament, and the Old Testament's the Jewish section of the Bible. And again, a lot of the Jesuits were Jews who converted to Catholicism. Jewish mysticism, which is the practice we're showing, letters and numbers, Gematria, Jewish mysticism equals 201 like the Jesuit order. And it's very clear they synced up the language in the calendar, and they control everything from our government to their sports leagues to what we know about history, and they're syncing it up year after year. That's why we can show these improbable patterns year after year. But the gentleman from the UK, what he caught, and it really made him like 76ers to win Game 6, what he liked about that was that he saw that the Hawks, and we spotted this too. That's why we said if the Hawks don't close out in Game 6, they're probably going to lose in Philadelphia because they can also get their 143rd postseason away loss all time. And Philadelphia 76ers equals 143. But again, they can fall to 20-23 away in their next away game for the season, the Hawks can, and 20-23. It's very similar to this same sequence of numbers. So the illusion, great catch on that. But again, just to understand how perfect all these rituals are. The Philadelphia 76ers picked up their 223rd franchise loss in Game 5. Is something wrong? Why are so many people calling me right now? Hold on. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, Zach, Kwame's in the chat. Can you pay attention to the chat real quick?
I got on the chat. When I saw you calling, I thought it must mean something. Kwame Brown is in the chat. Kwame Brown, I just want to say thank you very he's trying
to call in, but I think you got your phone on silent.
Okay, so I'm gonna take the phone off silent for Kwame Brown. Other people in the community, please don't call in right now in case it really is him and he's trying to phone in. But Kwame Brown, if you're also out there, another way to get through without having to play the phone game in case other people call in is connect with me on Skype. If you use Skype, my name is Free to Find Truth, just all one word. So T-O for the two. But I'm going to open up the phone line right now. And
I don't know if it's really him or not. not, bro. So I'm just saying it looks like it's him though. I don't know though. It really looks like it's him trying to call in, but I don't know though. Was just giving you a heads up.
All right. Well, I'm gonna open up the phone line in case it is him trying to call in, and we'll see.
Okay. And I'll call you later. I got something to talk to you about in private.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it, man.
All right. I'll be listening.
All right. Thanks, Jonathan. See. Okay. So the line is open if Kwame's trying to call in, and let's say nobody call in for the next 10 minutes. I'll continue with the presentation. If it's really him, he should be able to call in the next 10 minutes. But hold on here. And again, if Kwame Brown is out there, Skype, I have that open. Free to find truth. All one word. 2 is T-O. That'd be another way to get right through. So, okay, but coming back to this whole thing with the Boule, right? Philadelphia last night, before they won this game and got that symbolic 56th win of the season, that key number, they came in with the 55 wins last night into Atlanta. The Philadelphia is the home of the Boule. Moved to Atlanta. They come in with the 55. They win on the MLK wedding anniversary. MLK, who was a member of the Boule. Again, what I want to know from Kwame Brown is, does he recognize this whole Boule thing that's going on around him? And what's he got to say about it? I heard he mentioned it in a certain stream, so I would just love to hear his thoughts on it. But with regard to the Boule and the Martin Luther King Jr. family, remember, MLK died 80 days after his birthday. Boule is 80 when you just run the alphabetic order in reverse. Bavarian Illuminati is also 80, which was created by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. I suspect Jesuits are ultimately behind Boule as well. A lot of these secret societies of the world, if you follow the pyramid, all roads lead back to Rome. His brother, A.D. King, died July 21st, 1969, and that is the day leaving 163 days left in the year. That is the 38th prime number. Death is 38, drowned is 38. By the way, you guys, with regards to the whole 38 thing, in the most pure cipher, holiday is 38, right? We know that number is connected to death. The MLK holiday was established in 83. How many years is it from 83 to 2021 with the new Juneteenth holiday today? 38 years, right? 38 years later. Holiday 38. So, by the way, I'm going to come back to the Boule thing with MLK's family, but I forgot to mention that what the most suspicious thing that I'm aware of that I've seen Kwame Brown do. Kwame, if you are out there, man, this is what I need to explain to me. Why did you say 238 so many times last night? It was too much, man, because, again, we're looking at this from the angle of how you got all the attention on the day that Michael Jordan did the Hall of Fame induction for Kobe Bryant, and 238 is the number that connects those two men. Last night, Kwame Brown in his live stream must have said 238 100 times in the first 14 minutes. And again, Michael Jordan's 238, and Kobe's birthday is 23/8. And he was teammates with both these guys. And yeah, I only saw like the first 14 minutes of the stream, so I don't know what else was said in there. Maybe there was a lot more about it. There could be a key detail I don't have, but I was just like, come on. What you're just saying, my brother's getting out of cell 238. He's out of cell 238. It's 238. It's 238 time. It's just like, all right, what is really going on here? Speaking of numbers. And, but yeah, coming back to this Martin Luther King thing. Again, his brother died on the day, leaving 163 days left in the year. He was found drowned, which is 38 like death. And he died on a date with 116 numerology. He was known as A.D. King. And where did I put it at? It's like I don't see it in the post. If you write out the Boule is also 38, right? So Boule, the Boule. I think it's fair to put the in front of titles. We know how important that can be. But With the Boule things going on with Atlanta and Philly, you see how Boule is also 26. So is Comeback in the most pure cipher. What's funny about what's going on in this Atlanta Philadelphia series is before there was any huge comebacks. If you watch the stream from the day where Atlanta came back from down 18, that was on a 61 date numerology, the 18th prime. But if you watch that stream, I talked about how it was 97 days before Trae Young's birthday on a date with 25 numerology. 97 is the 25th prime. It reminded me of the 97th NFL season where the Falcons gave up the 25-point lead on 2/5 to the Patriots, and Bill Belichick's 97. It was the 97th season. Well, anyway, the Falcons ended up having a big comeback that day, right? And I said, you know what I think I noticed that I hadn't talked about before is the word comeback is 26. So if you're down 25, that means you have to swing the game 26 or more points to win. So even that the word comeback was coded into that Patriots comeback. So I said that the day that later that day, Atlanta came back from 26 points. And again, Philadelphia is also 101, the 26th prime number. And remember, the flag was sewn in Philadelphia. Its birthday is June 14th. This year, Philadelphia picked up their 26th loss of the season on the flag's birthday that was sewn in Philly. So, again, all this stuff is tribute to history. And it's like Philadelphia lost on the day that's like a proud day for Philadelphia in history. You would think that Martin Luther King Jr.'s wedding would be a proud day kind of for Atlanta. They end up losing on the 68-year anniversary. So that's why looking at the riddles that they put down, you can see what they're doing. Oh, by the way, A.D. King died at age 38. I forgot to say that. And the Boule's 38 on the fitting date. And yours truly is going to turn 38 years old on that day this year. That is my birthday, July 21st. I'm like, man, it's funny how that works out. I'm thinking it's going to work out for me okay, though. I'm thinking I'm going to live right past 38, and maybe it'll be the Gematria breakout year, because Gematria is also 38 in the most pure cipher. But that is the way it worked out. So anyway, A.D. King, his brother, he went down by the numbers. We got a call from Atlanta. I know that this is the right area. Let's see. Is this Kwame Brown? Hello?
No, it's not.
It's not Kwame Brown. Well, I'll give you 20 seconds because we're holding the line for Kwame just in case. Well, he just hung up. Okay. From Martin Luther King Jr.'s death to his brother's death was 474 days. 4774, always big numbers. Again, here's the part about Martin Luther and the 95 Theses and MLK dying on the 95 date numerology. Big number with the Jesuits. A.D. King's son died at age 34. He died at 38. Murder 34 and 38. The Boule 34 and 38. Memphis 34 and 38, where MLK played. If you guys go back and look at the games in the NBA from MLK Day, check this out. NBA scores. Here, I'm going to go back to, it was January 18th this year. And remember, Los Angeles, California, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania are both 118. Kobe's new Wizardard series has the made-up area that equals 118. Kobe with the LA Philly thing. But on MLK Day, look at these games. The Hawks debuted their jersey that day and beat the Timberwolves. Timberwolves went down with 97. Martin Luther King equals 97. Again, that's the 25th prime. 97 days from Trae Young's birthday this year. It was 25 date numerology. He scored 25. The Hawks won by 11. Trae Young wearing the 11 jersey. But the Hawks won on MLK Day this year with the new jerseys on. And Doc Rivers was stuck on 97 postseason wins until last night on the MLK wedding funeral. Or wedding anniversary. But notice this game right here, the Suns and the Grizzlies. This is an interesting game on MLK Day because Memphis is where MLK was killed, and Arizona, who was the first team to make it to the conference finals this year, was the last state to recognize Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a holiday. And people said that Arizona was a racist state because of that. That's why Public Enemy in 91 put out the song By the Time I Get to Arizona. And remember last year on September 25th, they put out the album What You Gonna Do When the Grid Goes Down with Arizona's Monument Valley on the cover. And now we got Arizona in the Western Conference Finals, first time in 11 years. Again, the Suns on an 11-year cycle. They advanced on a Sunday. Now they open it up against the Clippers on a Sunday. But you had Memphis, where MLK died, versus the State, known for the controversy with the holiday. You had the Nets and the Bucks, which is today on Juneteenth, Game 7. Today's the 170th day of the year. Brooklyn Nets is 170. What's amazing about today's Nets game is that if they win, they'll get their 56th win of the season. Bucks is 56 in the most simple cipher. Whoops, not Nux. Bucks is 56 in the most simple cipher. Barclays Center, where the Nets play, is 56 in the most pure cipher. Today's 56 days on the nose after the funeral for DMX in the same stadium. Remember, that's the number with the Jesuits. DMX's death was a big Jesuit ritual. Today's also 263 days after Kevin Durant's birthday, which is the 56th prime. The one thing that's funny, though, the one thing that makes it a little bit iffy, is if Durant lost today, he'd get his 56th postseason loss all time in his career. So it's funny how that 56 lands either way. Again, that was the number of the year. It's been huge for us in sports, and that was the reason I thought the Suns would be in the Western Conference Finals against LA. Of course, the Lakers, but now it's the Clippers. If the Clippers do make it to the finals, I'll tell you right now, Game 7 is on Jerry West's 56th day of his age. The man who's the logo. But Phoenix Suns have the purest connection to 56 in the league. Chris Paul with the 5-6 birthday. Supposedly he's out with the coronavirus protocol. Coronavirus is 56. That's the thing that opens up the narrative for the Clippers, right? If Chris Paul's, going to miss some time with COVID. All this stuff is a joke, you guys. It's all just a big mockery. It's just like how last year the Jazz improved to 5-6 in the NBA bubble after they resumed the season 56 days after Rudy Gobert's birthday, who was blamed for the coronavirus outbreak. Again, same numbers, same patterns all year. Coronavirus is 142 and you run it in reverse. The NBA was suspended on the 142nd day of the season. It resumed 142 days later. NASCAR came back on the 142nd day of the year. So on and so forth. You know these ciphers forwards and backwards? You see the rituals. So, coming back to this Boule thing, let me see. I haven't gone over this post for a while. Martin Luther King Jr., where he died, is interesting. St. Joseph's Hospital, 228 and 93, like Martin Luther King Jr., like death. And Martin Luther King Jr.'s mother was killed in 1974. We know how 74 is associated with killing. The assassin's name was 74, number that connects to Jesus, cross, Messiah, parables, gospel. Again, we're talking about Jesuit rituals, the Society of Jesus, who've encoded the language. And like these headlines, the 70-year-old mother of the late Reverend Martin Luther King, the civil rights leader who was assassinated 6 years ago, was herself shot and killed today as she played the organ for morning service at the Ebenezer Baptist Church. Just tormenting people by the numbers. Just in case, this is 216 though. 216, hello? Oh, somebody playing a recording, so. She was born on September 13th, which is interesting too, because that's the birthday of Cesar, how do you say his name? Cesar Borgia, the people that say white Jesus is portrayed after. Tupac, who did, with regards to 74 in the most simple cipher, in the same cipher as Jesus, Machiavelli, 74, Tupac on the cross. And that album came out on the day leaving 56 days left near the Jesuit number. But again, just that 74 thing. Rapper 74. Here, no caller ID. Let's try it out. No caller ID. Is this Kwame Brown?
Hey, how you doing, man? Uh-oh. I got a question for you, man.
Go ahead.
What do you think about the next Hawks and 76ers game being on Father's Day? And Philadelphia is, kind of relation with the founding fathers.
And Kobe, exactly. And Kobe dying on a Sunday. And Father-Daughter Day, the Lakers won the championship on October 11th, and now back in Philly, Kobe's hometown on Father Day. When historically they've done rituals with Mother's Day and Father's Day, so yeah, I don't think that's any accident.
Okay, yeah. See, I was telling that to my friend, and they were like, this guy's superstitious, but
they're not paying attention. Yeah, they're just not paying attention, honestly. That's the thing. See, for all the people like your friends, which is 90% of the world, you guys are ignorant people, and you don't pay attention, and then you start arguing with people who are paying attention. Every year, the NBA is doing shit with Mother's Day, and when Father's Day reaches for the finals, which it has in the past, they've done rituals there, too. We talked about this with Del Curry and Sonia Curry the other day, the Western Conference Finals going on with her two sons playing. And how many years have I taught about Philly and the Bay Area connection? Look where the Curry brothers are right now, in Philly and the Bay Area, just like the Warriors are originally from Philly. All this stuff is ritual, and it's in your face, and nothing. It's all ritual every single day in these leagues. If you're not paying attention, you're not going to see it.
Definitely, man. Appreciate it, though. I mean, I've been using your Patreon, man. So it benefits me. So appreciate you, man.
All right, keep up the good work. Take care.
You too, man.
See it.
Thank you.
Yeah, this knowledge will benefit anybody with a brain. You know, some dummies might come across this and think it's nothing. That's because they're dummies. We're not worried about what dummies think. If you tried to show calculus to a dummy, they'd be like, man, that's a bunch of bullshit. You'd be like, what? No, these are mathematical formulas. What do I need that for? You know, I mean, we don't worry about what dummies think. The world is full of dummies. Their opinions are worth zero, all 90% of them. Is this Kwame Brown? Hello?
Yes, this is Kwame Brown.
It doesn't sound right. Doesn't sound right at all. All right. I'm not sure Kwame's calling in. Kwame, if you want to call in, I'm taking the phone off. I'm finishing this presentation. But if there really is a Kwame Brown out there and he wants to phone in, the Skype is the way to reach me. But okay, just going back to MLK, the Boule, the Jesuits, the date his mother died, June 30th. Look at that, the 181st day of the year, right? The 42nd prime number, Martin 42, Malcolm X 42, Muhammad Ali 42, Jackie 42, number stamped all over Black history, LeBron James 42, and so on. They had to report that Kobe died in the 4200 block, even though his helicopter crashed in the middle of a dirt field. How's that the 4200 block? They had to trade Kemba Walker yesterday on the 42nd day of his age with Al Horford, number 42. One thing I got to give credit to my mom for is when I was a child, she'd always point out, she'd always say these pro sports are nothing but modern day slavery. Rich white guys using black men to make even more money. And you know what? She wasn't wrong about that. Now that I see Gematria and see how they do this stuff just day after day, it's just sick. It's like, wow, they really are trading them like they're slaves. Unbelievable. At the same time, so believable. But yeah, we were talking about Martin in 75 back then. She died 75 days from her birthday. You know, now we're talking about the ritual in the NBA in the 75th season, 75 days after his death anniversary. And again, you guys, I'll remind people, a lot of times the riddles that they do in these leagues are just surface level. MLK was killed on 4-4. On Wednesday, which had 44 date numerology, both games were big upsets. That was on a date with 18 numerology, the upset number which we talk about. But Wednesday, a lot of 37 stuff happened, sometimes also 44. Both those series became 4-4 on Wednesday in big upsets, and one of them was the Atlanta series where we knew it had something to do with the MLK jersey and, of course, his assassination in 4-4. And you know what else? You know what? Now that I think about it, that game where the series became 4-4 was 73 days after the MLK assassination. And the Hawks, they went 4-1 through the Knicks, and they became 3-2 versus the 76ers in that game. So they became 7-3 in the playoffs, 73 days after the MLK assassination. And then they lost in the last one yesterday with the chance to close out. But notice the church where she was killed is 228. Martin Luther King Jr.'s mom, 228. Just like the hospital where he died, like his name. United States of America is also 228. And in Sumerian Gematria, again, death's 228. And again, his holiday because of his death. The only born American with a holiday named after him. Okay, so anyway, all this Jesuit stuff. Oh, his father died at age 84. Jesuit and Masonry are 84. And he died on December 19th, 38 days. Or excuse me, he died November 11th, 38 days from his birthday. Another 38. And again, death 38, murder 38, killing 38, RIP 38, the Boule 38. His brother dead at age 38 on the day leaving 163 days left in the year, the 38th prime. Now we get a new holiday, also part of Black History, 38 years after the last. And we've talked about how they code that 38 on Black History as well. Not as much as 42 and 59, but Africa's 38, Black culture, rapper 38, so many rappers die in connection to 38. The most used word potentially in hip-hop music. The N word with the A ending, not the racist ER ending, but the more friend way, But even that word has the 38 on it. Like Africa, right? Like rapper. And now 38 years after MLK Day in 83, think about that. Murder, 83, 38. 38 years later, you get this, Juneteenth, the real King James's birthday. Let's see. His wife was also, so with regards to MLK's mother and father who died after him, the mother died 193 days after the father's birthday, which again is the 44th prime, like how MLK was killed on 4/4. So, just the patterns. In Septenary Gematria, African American 44, like Obama 44. Father also died on a date with 44 numerology. In 84, at age 84. Jesuit 84. Masonry 84. United States of America 84. His dad died on the 316th day of the leap year. That's interesting because in Hebrew Gematria, Jesus Christ is 316, and in English, Jesus is 11 in the most pure cipher, the master number. The sun on the 11-year cycle, the Suns in the playoffs, first time in 11 years. Same Jesuits controlling it all, from what we know in the religious text, to what we know in the history book, to what we know on the news, to from our government, to through our entertainment avenues. You don't have to believe it, but you can research it and prove that that's exactly how it is. So we've been doing it every single day. And, just to think all this stuff is a coincidence day after day, no way. Talking about the same patterns over and over. Okay. So, is Kwame Brown, is he out here for, is this just more ritual? Is this, what is it? That's what we were asking the whole time. It seems like he's doing some good things, but is this ritual? How's it going to end? Is it going to end well? Where are they going with this? The 238 thing tomorrow or yesterday that he did, I was just like, watch it. Look up this stream from yesterday on his channel and just put it on fast forward and just, like I did. I heard the first 14 minutes. I couldn't believe how many times he said the number 238. And I was like, that is so weird because we know that's the number that connects Kobe and Jordan. And again, he got all of his recognition on the day Kobe went in the Hall of Fame with Jordan doing the ceremony. And he was teammates with both. And he was drafted by Jordan. And maybe we do need to have a conversation with Kwame Brown. Maybe he doesn't realize what's going on. Something about his brother being put in cell 238 and then he gets a early release or something. It's like, what's going on here? Like, what is this? Okay. Also, by the way, what makes things tricky, these NBA playoffs, man, some riddles have been great, but some games it's just like, man, which way are they going with this? So, like, for example, yesterday, Atlanta came out early, and they took a lead in the first quarter, 29-22. Right away when the second quarter began, Philly scored 7 straight to make it 29-29. We knew 29 was going to be a big number of emphasis in this game, and in sports yesterday, which it was, because it had 29 date numerology, and it was 109 days after Nate McMillan began coaching the Hawks on March 1st. 109 is the 29th prime number. So 29 date numerology. So sure enough, Hawks lead the first quarter with 29. They were trying to pick up their 29th home win of the season. And that's what made things tricky. Because I was saying, like, man, if Philly gets past, or if Atlanta gets past Philly, this is one of the most scripted series of all time in NBA playoff history. And again, for those of you guys who still think the NBA isn't rigged, again, I don't mean to offend you, but I guess in a way, what I really want when I say what I'm about to say is I just want you guys to stop being dumbasses. The NBA is so fucking fixed, it is so pathetic to think anything otherwise. If the NBA were real, it would have looked like the closing minute of the Philly-Atlanta game with Tobias Harris all over the much, much smaller Trae Young. I know what it's like to be a guard who's 5'10", which is how tall I am. I'm a pretty good basketball player. I handle the ball nice with both hands. I'm nice with both hands. When I have to play against, when you have to play against bigger people who are on the same level as you, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to get your shot off. It's hard to rebound. It's hard to guard them. They get their shot over you. It's very difficult as a smaller, unless you're much quicker than them. And I've been in that situation too. You have to be much quicker. And Trae Young is fast. But again, he's playing against elite competition who are big guys. Trae Young was nothing at the end of that game. Tobias Harris was all over him, draping him like a professional basketball player, and you're not going to get the shot off. I'm just too much bigger than you. That's how it would look every game for Trae Young through all of his NBA career if the NBA was real. He is the most forced superstar I've ever seen, and realize they started doing this in college. They started doing this in college. His ugly-ass push shot, forcing, it's such a joke, but the NBA is such a joke. And when you watch that Atlanta team against Philadelphia, Philadelphia is gigantic compared to Atlanta. They should be doing that at every position, just dominating them. And game one of this series was the biggest coaching joke in the history of the world. Doc Rivers would have been fired in real life if anybody knew anything about basketball, and that was their coach. Doc Rivers played this up-tempo, throw the ball the length of the court, just keep trying to do these length of the court passes the whole first half. It's like, what kind of strategy? Why are you playing fast against Atlanta, who you're way bigger than? Just play defense, rebound, you're going to win the game. There's no way you're going to lose to this midget-ass team. Never going to happen. Never, ever, if it's real. But we know pro sports aren't real. But instead they play this super fast tempo game. They just keep turning over the ball. It's like, why do they keep trying to throw the ball the length of the court? Like, what is this? You're bigger than them. Just go down there and let Embiid post up all day. He can score 50 points a game if he wants to against this Atlanta team. And notice, he does until he decides that he's just not going to play anymore. He's going to start posting up and shooting it short. It's such a joke to watch. And pro sports are always a joke to watch. And that's why I try not to watch them. People have been begging me to come back to sports for a while, so I've been watching some playoffs, and I discovered Sweet Lady likes to watch these basketball games. She thinks they're fun to watch. It's because she doesn't know anything about basketball, which I guess is nice. If you don't know anything about the sport, I guess it's entertaining watching big, fast, athletic giants just run all over and shoot balls. But if you know how to play the game, you're just like, what is this? What the fuck is this? Did you see Donovan Mitchell last night? Donovan Mitchell gets the inbound from about 35 feet from the hoop with 4.5 seconds on the shot clock. No-brainer what to do here in basketball if you're a basketball player. You dribble the ball, and you get closer to the hoop, and you get off the best shot you can in the situation. What's Donovan Mitchell do? Donovan Mitchell takes the inbound pass and starts pivoting around, gets no distance closer to the hoop, just starts pivoting around, and as there's almost no time left, jumps out to the side and just throws up a huge brick. And you're like, wow, that's a man that's paid millions of dollars to play basketball? He doesn't know to dribble closer to the hoop? I mean, theoretically, he has great athleticism. Jump up, and maybe you don't even get off your best shot, but you draw the foul, and now you're at the free throw stripe. You needed points there, absolutely. Your attempt to stay in the season in this crucial moment is to pivot around, get no distance close to the hoop, and just fire it up. I mean, this is what sports have looked like. The whole 21st century has been just like, that's what I feel like. I feel like at the end of the 90s, they stopped playing these sports, and then they started doing things like, okay, we're in the year of riddles and Patriot Act and Patriots and just total bullshit. It's just like sports have just gotten so much dumber as I've gotten older. And we already knew they were rigged at the start, at the tick. Again, NBA, go back and watch Game 7, Blazers-Lakers. Blazers are up about 17 points going into the fourth quarter, and they don't even play basketball in the fourth quarter. Just let the Lakers run away with it and go to another championship. It's just such a joke. And being from Portland at the time, it's just like, see, it's rigged. I mean, it's just so obvious. LA's a way bigger market. Portland, we've been a good playoff team. We've been to a couple finals, but well, I guess there were a few. We beat the 76ers. We lost to the Pistons and the Bulls. But, they weren't letting us go to that one, even though we were the clearly better team and we dominated the whole game until we just laid down and didn't even play basketball in the fourth quarter. And that's what pro sports look like again and again. I mean, how's a team of giants going to give up a 26-point lead to a team of midgets? If the NBA were real, I'd wager that you'd have to give Atlanta at least 30 points every game for them to even cover against Philadelphia if the NBA were real. I mean, it's total mismatched team. It's a joke. It is a complete joke. And when you know this knowledge, you can just laugh at the joke, be like, oh my God, 26-point comeback. Funny how we talked about 26 and comeback in today's stream in Philadelphia and 26. Stuff is just joke city. But, Yeah, that is what makes things tough, though, looking at some of these playoff matchups, because you have to decide. You're like, okay, it looks like it's going back to Philadelphia, because Atlanta looks like they're destined for that 143rd loss, which connects with Philadelphia's 76ers. But at the same time, they do have a chance at their 29th home win on the 29-date numerology, 109 days after Nate McMillan began coaching the team, which is the 29th prime. And those numbers do go together a lot in sports rituals. So, again, understanding the knowledge doesn't mean you can pick every game perfectly. You have to have like a laser mind to crack some of these NBA playoff riddles. And even if you have that, it still might be tough. And the other thing is, because these games are series, it's possible that, they're like, okay, we were going to do it that way this game, but we'll just flip it around and push it to another game. And again, that's why in the NFL playoffs this past year, we went 13-0. We nailed every single game, and our future from before the season began was dead on. Bucks over Chiefs. The NBA playoffs, I mean, a lot harder. What we've been perfect with is when we've called overs and unders. There's been some really good riddles for overs and unders in this series, or in the playoffs, but man, some of these games, the riddles have been razor tight. In baseball, which is also series, baseball, though, been a lot. If you've been following us on baseball, we've been killing baseball. And the Rockies have been real good to us with the 38s lately. Again, always telling you guys about Colorado and 38. But look at this, you guys. Moving on, other sports-related stories. Kemba Walker traded to OKC on June 18th, 2021. And that was Kemba Walker's 42nd day of his age, 42. Slavery's 42 and 102, just like Kemba Walker's 102. Remember Moses Walker, the first Major League Baseball player to play in 42 games. First black baseball player to play in white Major League in the late 1800s. Moses Walker, 42, played in 42 games. Al Horford, number 42, part of this trade, NBA veteran. This happens at age 31. Slave's 31. And he goes to Oklahoma City on a date with 65 numerology when Oklahoma City's 65. But again, this is nothing new. It's just when you see how they do this, you see how sick it is. And over in European football, big story. Rambo covered this past Wednesday night. The one thing I added on is that this Christian Eriksen, who collapsed, and then, all sorts of rumors started, but he collapsed in the 43rd minute of the game at age 29. And just look at collapse in Gematria. 29 in the most pure cipher, like his age. Collapse in football, 29. Collapse in football, 43, like the 43rd minute, he just collapses. But notice also how collapse and football are the exact same in every cipher. And then his name, Christian Eriksen, in the most pure cipher is 83 as well. So what a ritual. And again, English is the language of the world. The calendar that it's synced up with is the calendar of the world. All roads lead to Rome. You learn this knowledge. They're doing the same stuff worldwide every single day, from fake injuries to scripted outcomes. Just something to think about. I'll tell you what I'll be wrong about. If Tom Brady goes to the Super Bowl this coming season, I'm going to be wrong about that based on what I've been thinking. And some people think he's going to go again this year. I am watching for clues, because remember how last year our first big clue that the Bucks would win the Super Bowl was through what they did with the Major League Baseball season. Huge ritual synced up with the Super Bowl. Well, something interesting happened in baseball yesterday that was not synced up with the upcoming Super Bowl, but was synced up with the last. So it's possible this is just paying tribute to the last Super Bowl, but this is what they do in the world of sports every single day. Remember, 131 is the championship number. With the most simple cipher, championships 131. Super Bowl's also 131. When you write out 57, it's 131. We see 57 come together with championships all the time. But championship is 131. The Clippers went to their first conference finals. That's the conference championship with 131 points yesterday. Yesterday's baseball games were 131 days after the Super Bowl. Always a big number with the Super Bowl rituals. But what was interesting is the Pirates and the Indians were playing each other, and the Pirates were on a 10-game losing streak, like how Brady went to his 10th Super Bowl in Super Bowl 55, when 55 is the 10th triangular number and the 10th Fibonacci number. But look at this. The Pirates ended their 10-game losing streak, right? Now, Buccaneers is another word for Pirates. And the Buccaneers just beat the Chiefs. And as we know, the Chiefs have the native symbolism like the Indians. So Pirates and Indians is similar to Bucks and Chiefs. And this was 131 days after the Super Bowl. The Pirates ended their 10-game losing streak, scoring 11 runs and giving up 10 runs to the Indians, right? So the thing that's interesting about this is, here, I'll just tell you my thought that I've had with Brady. I'm saying if Brady goes to another Super Bowl, or I could be wrong, but what I've been saying is he's not going to go this year. He's not going to go at age 44. He's going to go at age 45. Rituals 45, his connection with Trump. Number 45, who will begin his re-election campaign the year that Brady's 45, the year of that Super Bowl, which is 2023. This is what I've been thinking. I could be wrong. Because this is interesting. This is interesting. What makes it interesting about Brady, also part of the reason we think Brady will go to another Super Bowl is because he's 7-3 right now. Like Tampa, Florida's 73. Like 73 is the 21st prime, and he did it in 21. And Saturn's 21, and Saturn has 7 rings. Like he got his 7th ring this year in 21. Notice there was 21 points in this game. But the reason we think is if he wins one more Super Bowl, he's 8-3. And remember, that's the big football number. Football's 83 with the most simple cipher. His birthday's 8-3. Election is 83. So I've been thinking he's going to do this in the year that Trump runs for president again. If you follow my work over the years, there's always been a connection with Trump and the Super Bowls, and that was a big part of how we nailed Eagles versus Patriots in week 3 of the season that happened. It was all through Trump. But I've been thinking Brady's going to go at age 45. The one thing that weirds me out about this little riddle they did here is the Pirates stayed on 44 losses, right? And I'm like, Brady's going to be 44 this year. So maybe. But to me, it makes a lot more sense at age 45, especially since Super Bowl 55 was his 45th playoff game of his career. And remember, he got his 34th playoff win in that, and LV in Roman numerals is 55, but in English, in the most simple cipher, it's 34. Brady got his 34th playoff win in Super Bowl LV, which is 55. LV's also 7, and he won his 7th ring. So this thing right here with the Pirates, you might want to study this more, think about this more. Could be something greater going on here. And again, but that's what we do. That's how we figure out the futures. We study, we put in research, we compare dates. The one thing is this was not synced with the coming Super Bowl, whereas the Tampa Bay Rays, last year, if you forgot, the Rays and Red Sox had a huge ritual in the baseball season that was perfectly synced with the Super Bowl day. It was just too good. Brady going from Boston to Tampa, and then with the baseball, I was like, there's no way this is a mistake. Okay, and again, the Jesuits being behind all this. Frank Bonner, the actor from WKRP in Cincinnati, dead at 79. Interesting right away because 79 is a big number in Cincinnati, and that's because it's where one of the 27 Jesuit universities in the nation is, and that's Xavier. And Xavier, and the most simple cipher, let me just punch it in right here. Xavier is 79 with the most simple cipher, just like Yeshua, the truer name of Jesus. Society of Jesus is also 79. Murder 79. Remember LL Cool J 79. Vegetable is 79. LL Cool J. His song 4321. 79 days after his birthday on 4/3/21. We got the news of DMX being a vegetable. That was 79 days after his birthday. He closes it out, that song, by saying he's the GOAT, 43, like 4-3. He has channel 43 on Sirius XM. Talking about LL Cool J. DMX is on that song as well. DMX is the vegetable on that day, 79 days after LL's birthday. So again, the entire world of entertainment, when you know these numbers, you see through these rituals. Cincinnati's a Jesuit town. It's the home of Xavier. This guy, part of this show, WKRP in Cincinnati, dead at 79. And notice the name of that show, WKRP in Cincinnati's 187. Like Society of Jesus is 187 and 79. Murder's 79. 187's associated with homicide. He died in a location in California that equals 79. It also equals 56. Here, this location he died. I'll just copy and paste it right here. In the story that this is where he died, 56 and 79, just like Society of Jesus, right? And remember, Kobe, buried in Corona Del Mar, right at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. It's got that 5670, like coronavirus, like COVID vaccine, like CARES Act, the big bailout money. So many things, same numbers, so many rituals. But this man, he died 108 days after his birthday. We've seen this before with heart attacks. They said he died from a heart attack. Heart attacks 108 in the most simple cipher. Dead 108 days after his birthday. And 108 prayer beads in the Catholic Church. So, all the world of entertainment. And with regards to the Jesuits having their fingerprints all over the pandemic, latest headline in the Buddhist country or in Buddhist territory in Japan, you get this international news about a 187 foot tall Buddhist statue that's existed for 33 years being masked, and realize the date that this international news went out was a date with 64, 44, 28 numerology. We normally talk about this with regards to killing, but we've talked about this a number of times with mask headlines. When all the governors were starting to pass the mask mandates about a year ago in June, that you were going to wear a mask through the summer after they told you COVID wasn't as scary as they'd scared you with the last 5 months, they did that on a 64, 44, 28 date then as well. But again, perfect day for a news about masks, but they got to tell you that the statue is 187 feet tall. Again, Jesuits all over this thing. And today, in the news, Joe Biden, Jesuit Joe, who we said would be the 46th president 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, because Catholics 46, and there'd only been one Catholic president to date who was assassinated at age 46, JFK, and Beau Biden, Joe's son, died at age 46. Well, now we get the death of his German Shepherd, Champ, and remember, we just read about Obama's dog, Beau, dying by the numbers last month on May 8th. But look at this. His German Shepherd is dead today. You know, this is his tweet from June 19th. Our family lost our loving companion Champ today. I will miss him. Posted June 19th this morning. And today has 46 date numerology, right? He's number 46. Beau Biden died at 46. Catholics 46. Sacrifice 46. JFK, the first Catholic president, killed at age 46. Remember, JFK was number 35. Catholics 35 forwards, 46 in reverse. There's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. There's 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. All of these numbers have been used ritualistically with Biden's inauguration, election. Remember, it was confirmed for him on January 7th, 7/1. It was called 353 days after his birthday, the 71st prime. He was sworn in on the Pope's 35th day of his age. The election 46 weeks after his birthday. I forget the 145 ritual. But again, just these same numbers over and over with the Catholic stuff. And now, number 4. By the way, President's Day this year, remember that's what was weird about President's Day. It fell on February 15th, 15/2, which is the 46th day of the year. And Joe Biden's 152. Again, just how planned out and mapped out this stuff appears to be. The fact that President's Day would fall on the 46th day of the year right after he becomes number 46. You know, it just happens to be 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, the way the November 3rd election was. But now his dog's dead on the 46 date numerology, right? But that's not all. That's not all. They mentioned that they had Champ for 13 years. Champ equals 41, which is the 13th prime. USA 41, 13 colonies, 13 stripes. CNN gives you this picture of him and the dog who's dead 115 days ago. Killings 115 forwards and backwards. From Biden's birthday, his 78th birthday to today is 211 days later, the 47th prime. And the base ciphers, President, White House, Government Authority, Republican, Democrat, D.C., Trump, they're all 47. He was the 47th vice president. He took office with 47-year-old Obama. Or not Obama. Yeah, 47-year-old Obama. That is right. And don't forget Osama bin Laden's 47, or the 47-story Building 7 on 9/11. But also don't forget Trump saying this on the campaign trail in 2020. He's done more in 47 months than Biden's done in 47 years. Trump was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of the rig selection for him in 2016. Cornerstone for D.C. laid on the 47 date. Big number with the Masons as well, 47. Vatican and Francis are 47. Francis 47. The founders studied in France. The Scottish Rite came to power there. The Jesuits are from there. D.C.'s the land of the Jesuits and the Scottish Rites. The Apprentice equals 211, the 47th prime. Of course, Donald Trump's hit show. But now Biden, 211 days after his birthday, his dog Champ is dead on the 46th date when he's number 46. And CNN just happens to load up the picture that's the right amount of days with the killing pattern that we always talk about. Remember, the Jesuits have the motto ad Merum de Gloriam, which equals 115 like France, and it's shared with the 32nd degree of the Scottish Rite. So again, Jesuits and Masons, the Masonic compass out of France set at 47 degrees, France 47. But here's the other thing. German Shepherd equals 78 in the most pure cipher, 66 in reverse. Biden is 78 right now. We talked a ton about 78 and Biden when he was moving up towards the election. They did so many rituals with 78. And I kept pointing out Jesuit 78. He's going to turn 78 right after the election. But German Shepherd is 78, 66 in reverse. This news comes on the 66 date numerology. So, perfect day for his German Shepherd to die. And the other thing is, from when Obama's dog Boule died in the ritual, from that death to today is 42 days later. Jesuits 42, Freemasons 42, DC's 42 in Sumerian Gematria. But if you forgot about the death of Boule, or if you didn't know about it, look at this. Ted Kennedy gave the dog, and Boule died on May 8th. Boule in the most pure cipher is 8. Boule with the most simple cipher is 17. He died while Obama's 59 after Biden won the 59th election and the Super 59 ritual that they did with Kamala. But 59 is the 17th prime. Boule dead on the 8th while Obama is 59 years old. And notice that from Obama's 59th birthday to the day Boule died was 277 days, which is the 59th prime number. And again, in chapter 1 of this book, I explained the relationship with 277, 59, and 17. And this came out well before, I was done writing this a year before his dog died. But the reason is right here. Here's the reason to know it. If you write out Independence Day, of course, in the most pure cipher, it's 74, like it's 74 in the U.S., but it's also 277, the 59th prime. And remember, Freemasonry is 59. So is Pope Francis. Jesuits and Masons have a fine connection. The 59th election was synced up with Pope Francis 46 weeks after his birthday, where Joe Biden becomes number 46. But 59 is the 17th prime number. And Freemasonry is 59, and Mason is 17, and modern Freemasonry was created in the year 1717. This nation was established 59 years later. Independence Day is 277, the 59th prime. So, same thing here with his dog Bo dying 277 days after his 59th birthday. And in the comments, Neo the Hacker pointed out, he says, what's sick is the dog was a gift from former Senator Ted Kennedy, who died on August 25th, 2009, which was the 237th day of the year. And now the news of Bo's death comes on the day leaving 237 days left in the year. So, you see how they did that? That's how they do stuff again and again. And then he said, also, Barack Obama ended his presidential term on January 20th, 17, which had 58 date numerology. And, of course, Trump won the 58th election, and he announced he was running from the 58-story Trump Tower. But then the dog dies on 5/8. And then Switzerland saw how it connected with the 76ers record that day. So that is interesting. And again, Joe Biden from Scranton, Pennsylvania, Jesuit town. And then Hickok that day, he posted this on May 9th. He says, with Joe Biden's son's name being Bo, it's interesting that this comes a full span of 170 days after Joe Biden's birthday. Because again, Bo Biden, Bo the dog, Bo, spelled different, but Bobos. But 170 days after Joe Biden's birthday, sacrifices 170. And Joe Biden and Bo also have the 37 connection. Bo's 52 and Jewish like president. So he saw how this was all synced up with Joe Biden. And now we get the death of Joe Biden's dog connected to the death of Obama's dog, who were president and vice president. And again, Obama took office at age 47. Biden was the 47th vice president. Now the dog's dead 211 days after his birthday, the 47th prime after his 78th birthday. You know? And in the most pure cipher, German Shepherds 78 like Jesuits. So, by the way, they're also emphasizing how the Fed's doing something that seems like it's not going to be good for the housing market long term. Again, they're just setting up the demise, man. They're setting us up for some real lumps that are coming. And that's because people are asleep at the switch, man. They like getting free money. They like not having to work. They like all the convenience. Until they realize that all these, the 90% of people that do not clue into what we're talking about because they're too well, what is the right word that's nice enough to explain what the 90% of sleepers are in this society? They're I don't know. I don't know how to put it nicely. It's not nice, man, but they are ignorant and they're willfully ignorant. That's one of their qualities, one of many they seem to have. But yeah, this stuff, man, this is what happens when you're ruled over by psychopaths and you don't do anything about it. These people kill people and dogs by the numbers and horses, all the stuff we've been documenting. People destroy quality of life by the numbers as they've done through this whole contrived ordeal we're living out. By the way, how many times have I talked about 56 in the time of the pandemic and just showing how everything is 56, from the sports to the pandemic to Black Lives Matter, to Trump impeachment, to January 6th insurrection, to just pretty much everything that's in the news right now. Then they got to give us the 56-second tape. The horrific 56-second tape from the Capitol insurrection. And what do they tell you? That the guy that the video's of is a former police officer from New York? How come everybody at this thing is police and military? And what pisses me off is YouTube's deleted 21 channels. GematriaEffectNews 22 is what I'm now on. But they've already deleted a bunch of videos, or channels and videos this year. I think I've already lost 2 or 3 channels this year. I've lost count. And I have a bunch that are on the ropes with 2 strikes. But, again, the Capitol insurrection, before it happened, we did a video the week before and the day before. And we reiterated the same points in both videos. And we predicted what was going to happen on January 6th. And we were like dead on with every prediction for January 6th. That there'd be deadly violence, that it was all part of the TIP simulation at Jesuit Georgetown on June 12th, 2020. And it played out perfectly. Everything we were dead. And people loved that video. And for some days it stayed up. And the second one we did, the one that we did one day before it came out, it was getting a bunch of views. Since the insurrection happened, it had gotten 30,000 more views, which back in the day wasn't that much, but lately in the time where I can't get views, it was a lot. So it was like the best video I had that was having an impact, and then YouTube struck it for medical misinformation. And then they struck the one that we made a week before for medical misinformation as well. They got rid of both those videos, and there wasn't anything about medicine or any kind of medical information, but just taken down in strikes, and then next thing you know, the whole channel's gone. It's just complete bullshit. And meanwhile, we have 90% of humanity like on the fence about this work, like, oh, I can't tell. Well, what can't you tell about at this point? Are you retarded? Why do you think they keep deleting the channels and censoring the work? Why do you think? Why do you think we continue to be right about nearly everything that goes on? People are mad that the Lakers didn't make the finals. Hey, I said the Western Conference Finals was going to be LA and Phoenix. It is LA and Phoenix. So again, when we miss, we're not that far off. And again, that whole prediction was through the number 56, which has dominated all of sports and all the news. They got to give you a 56-second clip and make this the big news story of a former police officer talking angry, trying to open a metal gate at other officers. By the way, that was one of the things that we talked about. We said that January 6th, this whole QAnon thing, this whole staged Jesuit thing, there'll be so many, psychological operations actors there. There'll probably be tons of police and military. These are all the things we said before it even happened. All you've heard about for the months after are all these arrests of former military and police people. This is exactly what we said it would be. That this whole thing was a planned ritual. Like I've explained for years, when you turn on the TV, if you don't know the history of the TV, you don't understand that when you turn on the TV, you're pretty much turning on the gadgetry of the U.S. military. From the beginning, the military has been in control of the news and the information on the TV. It's always been that way. This is a military empire. Again, Psychological operations, real things. If you can't wake up from this January 6th insurrection, remember everything we told you about it. We said there'd be Civil War symbolism all over at it because the Civil War began in 1861 and the date's 6/1. Then we noticed it was 201 days after the day the Confederate statue fell down in D.C. A year ago today, June 19th, 2020, the Albert Pike statue came down. That was 201 days before January 6th. Confederate 201, the big number with the Jesuits, all Jesuit ritual, simulated at the Jesuit tip, June 12th at Georgetown. They simulated Biden winning the election, Trump refusing to step down, and deadly chaos because of it, which is what their January 6th ritual was. And by the way, with the whole Civil War theme, again, Civil War's got the 56 as well, right? So now this 56-second clip of this angry former police officer. So, again, all this stuff, man. All right, what else is up here? Let's see. Ashley Babbitt. Again, just right away. So many people have already showed so many things that are wrong with this Ashley Babbitt story, but right away, everyone should look at that name. Ashley Babbitt. Not only does the first name look way off because nobody's ever seen Ashley spelled that way, but even the Babbitt looks weird. And again, Ashley. A-S-H-L-I. No one's ever seen this before, but all sorts of things about this number. And we'll start with the full name. Notice the 42 and 84. Just like Jesuits, 42 and 84. It's all Jesuit ritual. 105 is important. 105 and 84 connects with things like Masonry. 105's the 14th triangular number. The story is that she ended up dead. Dead is 14. And again, that Ashley spelling. 49, big number in Washington. Washington is 49. America's 49, the land of the Scottish, right? Scottish is 49, also 32, just like Ashley. It's got the 86 in it and the 22, just like Jesuits, the plural. Again, I mean, all you have to look at in that story is the name of the person. That is not a real person's name. They've already told you what's going on here. It's all full of police and military, psychological operations units. This is another psyop. The whole thing was a giant psyop. That's what you get every day in your news. The news is the psyop, psychological programming based on bullshit and lies. The sports are also psychological operations because a lot of times they're tied in with the news, but they're mostly meant to just distract people and keep them entertained. You know, survey majority of America, they can't tell you anything about anything, but they'll know a lot of entertainers and athletes and clothes brands and food shops, and they know about this stuff. But again, it's entertainment, it's distraction, but it's all controlled by the same people, and that's how they bring the narratives together all the time. You know, last year, Mookie Betts, who comes over in the 4-2 Jackie ritual, leads the Black Lives Matter protest 42 days from his birthday, as Wisconsin burns in the latest Black Lives Matter shooting, as the Dodgers on the same day call up their prospect from the same town in Wisconsin, Kenosha, where the chaos is happening, you know? And you had the Milwaukee Bucks go, Milwaukee Bucks were like, oh, I don't even know if we should be in the playoffs, and I think they got swept right out of the playoffs. It's like, come on, man. Stuff is just all trash. It's all trash scripted narrative. And didn't they burn 56th Street, if I remember right? They did. They burned 56th Street in Kenosha, the Black Lives Matter protesters. Black Lives Matter 56. Go back and look it up. Okay. So, yeah, Ashley Babbitt. They brought the, by the way, this news came back on June 18th. This was CNN's top story about Ashley Babbitt again. 163 days after the supposed death. The 38th prime, death 38, murder, killing, RIP, DC on the 38th parallel north. We just talked about this with MLK's brother dead at 38 on the day, leaving 163 days left in the year. And it was also a date with 45 numerology, right? Because she was there protesting for Trump, number 45. But this is just all news by the numbers, propaganda by the numbers, agents. That's what you get in the news. Agents and actors. And by the way, guys, I saw this news story, and I'm going to make one exception here. The news is probably finally telling us the truth. It's probably just a coincidence. They told us Nothing to worry about with the sperm count if you go out and get one of these rushed out vaccines. Probably no accident they put it out on the 64-28 date when sperm is 64 and 28, and so is kill. And again, there hasn't been enough research for them to be putting out any kind of headlines like this. At the beginning of the pandemic, they said the biggest question mark with the vaccine was what it'll do to fertility rates. And, right now they're rushing out saying, oh, so far we don't notice anything. And again, I'll remind people, the first thing that got censored on YouTube out of every single topic that gets censored now, the first thing that ever got censored was questioning vaccines. That was the first thing to ever get censored. So, again, you just got to go along with the bullshit they feed you every day, or you're a bad person and a conspiracy theorist, and you don't have a right to have a voice. So, but anyway, the mainstream media is telling you that, it's okay for your old sperm count if you go out and get the rushed out vaccine. So, by the numbers they're telling you. Telling you on the same day we get the latest Daredevil Dead headline with the same old pattern we've talked about before. Again, if you missed my coverage from the other day of the death of the Daredevil in Washington State while he was warming up for his record jump, I want to go back in history and show you the pattern. So, February 22nd, 2020 was the last time I saw a Daredevil dead in the headlines. And this was on the 64-44-28 date, just like the latest Daredevil died on the 64-44-28 date. But look at all the patterns here. This man who died February 22nd, 2020 was trying to launch himself in a rocket to prove that the earth was flat. That was the story. That was the date with the 64-44-28 date numerology. Kill is 44-64-28. Daredevil's 44. He just had a movie made about him called Rocket Man, and that movie came out on August 11, 2019. Fateful date, but that was exactly 28 weeks before his death. The latest Daredevil to die is 28 years old. But the date that his film came out had 38 and 118 numerology because it was 11/8 with the 38 date. Daredevil's also 163, the 38th prime. Again, just same old patterns. Let's talk about this with Ashley Babbitt, MLK's, his brother's death. And the day he died was the 53rd day of the year. The name of his film and Flat Earth, both 53. He was a flat earther trying to prove the earth was flat. And he goes out by the numbers. And so that was that. But that was a Daredevil on the 64-44-28 date. And every single month we've been documenting since the time that... oh my goodness, what's his name? What's the black comedian's name? The guy who came out and said that presidents are clones. Oh, I can't think of his name right now. My goodness. Must be getting Alzheimer's. But that comedian died on the 64-44-28 date. Ever since then, we've said, wait a minute, we got to watch this date every single month. I see something going on here. Every single month there's been celebrity deaths on the 64-44-28 date. Deaths from the world of entertainment that are always these same numbers, 64-44-28. And in this case, it's a Daredevil with the surname Harville. Daredevil 44 like Harville. Kill 64-44-28. 64-44. Actually, this was also the 17th of the month that he died on. So the numerology was 64-44-28, plus it was the 17th of the month. That's all 4 base ciphers a kill. And his surname's there. Daredevil's there. He died at the Moses Lake Air Show, which is 193, the 44th prime. We just talked about that pattern again with MLK's mother's death, 193 days after the father's death. And then he ended up dying on the 44-date numerology. Moses Lake Air Show is also 67, like blood sacrifice, like human sacrifice, like Kobe died on the 67 date in Calabasas, which is 67 land. But again, he was 28 years old. And just same old, just same stuff, month after month. And there's probably even more. I've been getting, lately, I'm still working hard, but I just have not worked as hard. I guess I've still done a lot last month. I gotta give myself credit, but I just haven't gone as far as I have in the 7 years and however many months prior. I've just slowed down a little bit because I'll never quit, but just lately I've just been feeling like, God, how are we going to get through to people, man? Like, what does it take? Like, how many more things do you have to prove and show when all these dummies just hang around for years on the fence and then finally something's wrong? They're like, oh, it must be false now because that was wrong. It's like, What a bunch of dopes. So you mean all the times it was right that you were watching, that wasn't enough for you to make it right. You just had to wait till the one time it was wrong, and then that was the proof it's wrong. I mean, these are just idiots that think this way, and sadly we live in a society of idiots. But I was going to make the point, if you go through this date, it was June 17th. I mean, there's probably a lot, you go through these, there's probably a lot of suspicious deaths in here with the same numbers. You got the motorcyclist, a American car dealer. Who's this guy? He's probably well known in his town. Billy Fuccio. Sounds like a mobster name. He died at 64. That's always suspicious. Born in 56. Wouldn't that have, if that's right, wouldn't he have turned 65 in New York? Well, again, you go through these and research these, you'll see the patterns month after month. 56-year-old footballer, heart attack, huh? He was born in 64. He would have turned 56 September 5th. Yeah, all these you can go through more, but again, you look on these dates, so often the people who are younger, Indian actor at 43, I mean, that's pretty young. COVID-19 pandemic's 43. Don't have a birthday for him, but yeah, I'll often go through and look on the 44, 64, 28 day, and it's not to say that it doesn't happen on other days too, but just consistently, month after month, very suspicious deaths with the same numbers, and young and old it happens too, but anyway, I just wanted to get that in there, and again, if there is a Kwame Brown somewhere out there, if you do want to come on here and set the record straight, please reach out to me through Skype, free to find truth. But yeah, you guys, the NBA playoffs. I mean, just so many major rituals. And here, I'll put off the bracket and just tell you things I remember off the top of my head. Like, here, let's talk about the Knicks' only win in these playoffs. It was on the 146th day of the year. And Julius Randle is the star player of the Knicks right now. Julius Randle's 146, right? In that game, where the Knicks won their only playoff game against the Hawks, they got their 187th postseason win, and they got it 187 days from Julius Randle's birthday. And remember, that's a big Jesuit number. Society of Jesus is 187, right? And if I remember right, they lost the next game and got the 191st loss. But these numbers come together a lot in sports. Yesterday, we loved the Rockies. Rockies were a great payout yesterday. They got it done. It was a big 187, 191 thing. Plus there was a nice 35 thing in it, too, with the Rockies. And, again, another team staying on 38 wins in Colorado for now. But Julius Randle, 146 on the 146th day of the year, got the 187th postseason win for the Knicks, 187 days from his birthday. And remember, this is the Society of Jesus. Society of Jesus is 187, but Jesus Christ is also 146. The Jesuits are running this show. What else is amazing is if you measure from Spike Lee's birthday, the Knicks won that playoff game exactly 67 days after Spike Lee's birthday. And in the most simple cipher, Knicks is 67. So again, it just goes to show, in these pro sports leagues, they set the chessboard. They get the right players with the right birthdays, the right names, to map out their perfectly planned rituals. It's like, you belong on this team because we got it all mapped out. Again, this is the way you need to look at professional sports. There's somebody that writes the script, right? Now you have to get the right cast of characters on there that have the right names and right birthdays so that they line up with the rituals. This is what we prove season after season, that it's this way. They get traded this way. They end up on teams for these kind of rituals. Last year, Brady at age 43, GOAT 43, which stands for greatest of all time. 188, both in the most simple cipher. Brady wins the Super Bowl at age 43, 188 days after his birthday. Now, that screwed me up with the NBA because I thought LeBron was going to win his 188th playoff game this year. That's why I had LA and Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals in the latest 56 thing. And it is LA. Again, it is LA and Phoenix in the Western Conference Finals, so realize, not far off. But, man, it's weird how LeBron could have got his 188th playoff win this year. They normally have Brady and LeBron rituals so tight, it looked like they did it again this year. And, but here, just coming back to these playoffs. So that was the Knicks' only playoff win. one of our best upsets that we saw super clearly was Memphis over Utah game 1. That game was 79 days from Ja Morant's upcoming birthday, the 22nd prime. Utah equals 22. Utah was up 22 at the half yesterday before they blew the lead. Number 14 brought him back against Utah. But Ja Morant got the Memphis Grizzlies their 22nd total away win of the season, 79 days from his birthday, the 22nd prime. Plus, it was 79 days from his 22nd birthday. And he did it in Utah. And the one thing I can't remember for sure is if the date numerology was 22 as well. But that first game for them in the play-in was 83 days from his birthday. Memphis is 83 and Memphis Grizzlies is 83. Yeah, there was more to it. But yeah, that was a nice script through star player. The Clippers and Dallas, they did a bunch of 41 stuff with that series. LA and Dallas are both 41. LA's 41, Dallas 41. And Denver, Portland, every single game in this series was a tribute to the number 19. And there was one that really annoyed me because the Blazers were going to pick up the 19s, but they didn't. They lost instead, and Denver won by 19 points. I was like, what? Phoenix and LA, remember LeBron? He got his 174th career playoff win and made the Lakers 25. The Lakers coming into this series against Phoenix were 24-8 at home against Phoenix in the playoffs all time, 24-8 like Kobe's jerseys. But they became 25-8. And remember, number of the beast. Always doing number of the beast rituals with LeBron. 174, 258. But then they didn't win anymore. That was it. And yeah, I get the LA Phoenix thing. If you have not seen my video from the beginning of the year, I thought LA and Phoenix. And the one other thing I can be wrong about in the East, before the season began, what I thought is I know they're doing all this stuff with 56, and I thought LeBron was going to make it to 5-6 in finals this year, on his way to 6-6 next year, because it could have been his 12th finals at age 37, and 37 is the 12th prime. Just like how the Clippers yesterday, did you notice the Clippers were down 25 and won by 12? Again, Los Angeles is 37 in the most pure cipher. If you're down 25 and win by 12, that's a 37-point swing. They win by 12, 37 the 12th prime. It's just, you know what else kills me? The Clippers advanced to this round on 6-6, and Lakers is 66, and LeBron's 66, and LeBron James is 66, and number of the beast is 66. Just like the 174, 258 thing. And you see how number of the beast is also 87, like James is 87. But it's like the Clippers are using LeBron and the Lakers numbers this year in the finals. And it's like, okay, I kind of get it. Kobe dies, the Lakers win. Now the Clippers are in the first Western Conference Finals. It's like a big LA thing. When Kawhi first went to the Clippers, right after LeBron went to the Lakers, they did the Kawhi commercial where he's driving around that old car and he's got the keychain, it shows zoomed in, and he's got a crown on it. And it's like there's a new king in town or something like that with Kawhi. That commercial came out right after he'd won the finals with the Raptors and then went to the Clippers. And let me see. Oh, but anyway, what I was thinking before the season began was it was going to be a repeat of the 56th NBA season, right? The 56th NBA season. And so I was looking for the teams with the 56 connections. The Phoenix Suns have the best 56 connection in the league. The other team we had to look at, the 56th NBA season, not 1956, but the 56th NBA season, which was 19 years ago, that was Lakers beating the Nets. So I thought that would be the finals before the season began, before the Nets became an all-star team. They had Durant and Irving, but they didn't have Harden and Griffin and all these other guys that came over, including Aldridge, who retired. But thought it'd be a repeat of the 56th NBA season. And we said if it's not Brooklyn has the connection to 56 through their stadium. There's only so many teams that have a connection to 56. Barclays Center, again, is 56 in the most pure cipher. The Bucks, I said if it's not the Nets, Bucks are a possible team. Bucks is 56 in the most simple cipher. Now, again, if the Nets win today, they will get their 56th win of the season over the Bucks. 56 days after DMX's funeral in the same building, and 263 days after Durant's birthday, the 56th prime. The one scare is Durant can get his 56th postseason loss. But remember, Durant changed his number to 7 this year. It's the year of sevens. And if Brooklyn wins, if I'm not mistaken, they will be 7-0 versus Milwaukee. Wait a minute. There is something Brooklyn can become 7-0 at home with today. Would it be? It wouldn't be games in the playoffs. I forget what it is. There's something there, though. But again, Durant wearing the 7 this year to me is so big. By the way, for all of the playoff games this year, the 35th home win out of all the playoff games this year was the last game in Brooklyn where Durant had the big finish. Durant, who wore 35 his whole career. And that was also his 149th postseason game. 149 is the 35th prime. That is such a great combination in sports. It's like why we liked the Rockies so much yesterday, who were considerable underdogs. It was the pitcher's 149th day of his age, the 35th prime, and he was going for his 35th career win, plus his team name in the most pure cipher, Rockies, is 35. But the NBA is really good at making their playoff scripts tight. Again, it's amazing how the Nets could get the 56th win, or Durant could get the 56th postseason loss. 263 days from his birthday, the 56th prime against the Bucks, 56. But again, my initial thought was LA, Brooklyn. And that has a lot to do with the Dodgers winning at this time and getting their 7th, and Mookie Betts coming over to the Dodgers, who are originally from Brooklyn. So, again, when we put the pieces of the puzzle together, it's like you have to look at all of these elements out there and say, this is what's the best narrative. And again, the dummies who watch and just wait for us to be wrong, they're like, oh, it's just like, okay, retards, I don't care about your opinions. You're not smart enough to ever figure this out or how to put it together. And you're trying to talk shit about something that you don't even understand. Again, we don't worry about the opinions of losers and lesser minds, which is most people. We have proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to anyone who's worth anything in the respect category that the world of sports are scripted by the exact code that we're showing and how it's done day after day. Does that mean we're going to call every last game right? No. But have we dominated the world of sports for how many years? 7 years? Yes. And again, nobody's ever seen it done better. There's a movie made about a guy with Matthew McConaughey and Al Pacino, supposedly, who was great at calling games for 3 years. That was movie worthy? How come we're not getting our movie? We've been doing it for way better than that for 7 years. So, again, we're not getting the respect because this is real life. This isn't the bullshit based on a true story that Hollywood gives you. This is a real story over here. A real story about breaking a real code and showing how the elections are rigged, the news is rigged, the sports are rigged, the history is rigged, how it's all brought together. And we continually show you day after day. And the world's learning and the world's applying. And dumb shills are making videos saying things like, if it's true, how come nobody else is learning and making correct predictions? If you're making videos like that, get the fuck out of here. How many people have learned from me, created their own Patreon, have their own subscribership, have made so many correct predictions, have been right where I've been wrong? Again, that's just another bullshit statement. You listen to all the people who talk shit about this work, they're all losers and they're all liars. Period. They're the LL Club. So, anyway, another undeniable riddle, another reason to wake up to Gematria. And again, when you have this knowledge, you'll just see through it all. Oh, Denver, Phoenix. We thought Phoenix was going to sweep Denver. They did, and it was all synced up with the eclipse. Again, at the time this eclipse is going through the U.S., you got the Suns sweeping Denver, getting to 9-3 all-time against Denver when Nuggets is 93, and Denver Nuggets is named after gold, and in alchemy, gold's the sun, and they say the sun's 93 million miles away, and the same dopes always leave the comment, listen to Zach, he still thinks the sun's 93 million miles away. No, moron, no reject, listen to what I'm saying. What science says is the sun's distance is what we're always talking about. Not that I think it's 93 million miles away. Just the fact that God's son is 93, Nazareth 93, crucifix 93, Jesus crucified between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. in the Bible, God's son, the sun 93 million miles away, 930th chapter of the Bible is where the story of Jesus begins. Again, that's not me. That's me showing how science and spirituality are coding out the same numbers and how those same numbers are used again ritualistically over and over from the news to sports. Like the Suns becoming 9-3 versus the Nuggets the day after the eclipse as they advance past the Nuggets on a Sunday, and then a Sunday later, now they're going to play the Clippers, which is LA Phoenix, which is what we said the Western Conference Finals would be before the season began. And yes, it was the wrong LA team, but again, we talked about why those cities were destined to come together. In terms of the other symbolism that's going on in the world, such as the Economist cover and the rise of the Phoenix and the Phoenix crap all over right now, like in every movie that's getting put out, especially with Disney. Again, the Phoenix is an important symbol. Again, the sun has an 11-year cycle. The sun's in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. Yeah, there's more that can even be said about these playoff series. There's been a lot of rituals, but that's what it is. It's all ritual. It's all rigged. You got to be a dummy to think these games are anything but rigged. Again, there's just stuff that happens every day in the world of pro sports that you can't explain. Guys that all of a sudden forget how to run the bases. Basketball players that forget how to dribble. Forget just the most common sense things. And you're just like, how can you lose the game like that? Like, really? That's how you're going to go out? Remember how Steph Curry went out against his daddy's Toronto Raptors, where he met his wife in Toronto? Triple teamed from 10 feet behind the three-point line, where all they needed was a 2, and he could have passed it off to anybody with so much time who could have got an easy hoop at the bucket. And honestly, based on the defense that would have had to collapse, had Curry passed it to anybody, any of them would have been able to take a dribble and gone up to the hoop. And that's the kind of situation where defender might come over and overcommit and foul, and you get the and one. Maybe you're even getting a three-point play. Maybe you're winning the game. But just the easiest situation ever, if you have any basketball IQ for what to do in that. You're a small guy, triple teamed, leaving your whole team wide open, and all you need is 2. Just pass it to any of them. Tie game. It's going to happen. No, instead, let's try to force it in the triple team, this highly unlikely shot to go in to end our season. No. Just like Donovan Mitchell last night, pivoting around on one foot instead of driving to the hoop and just throwing up a brick. I mean, you just look at this shit, you're like, how is it even possible that they're doing this? And the weirdest thing is just how we started talking about the Atlanta comeback in the Super Bowl before all this crazy comeback stuff started, because we saw the number pattern, and it's just like, oh my God, the same damn number pattern. They are really recreating history. So, anyway, guys, I think we'll leave it there for now, and yeah, we'll see if we hear from Kwame. And again, I don't want to distance the chance of meeting up with Kwame. We did have Larry Johnson do the show. We'll see if Kwame ends up being a guest. But again, if you're out there, man, I think some of the stuff you're doing is great, but you're getting into way too much tabloid, gossipy, just stuff that just does nothing for nobody. And I'm worried that that's all this is, especially with yesterday and that whole 238 thing. I mean, how are you going to say 238 a million times when we've been talking about the coincidence of getting all the attention of the Jordan-Kobe day, when that's the number that brings Jordan and Kobe together? 238. Something is wrong. All right, you guys. I think, I'll also say this about Kwame at the end. The day he was drafted by the Wizards was the day leaving 187 days left in the year. Coming up on that anniversary. Be the 20-year anniversary on June 27th. But on the day leaving 187 days left in the year, drafted by the team out of D.C., Washington, D.C., 187, like Paris, France, like Society of Jesus. Remember the Jesuits created in Paris, France. Stronghold in D.C. And his birthday is the 69th day of the year. His full name in the most pure cipher is 69, like the Jesuit order. His full name is also 177, like the Jesuit order. He's drafted on a date with 54 numerology, like Jesuit order. Remember, John Carroll's 54. John Carroll established Jesuit Georgetown in D.C. when he was 54 years old. Their symbol is the sun. Sun equals 54. The calendar based on the sun synced up with the language. Kwame wore 54 for a lot of his career. And Kobe beat Bryant, of course, 54 in the most pure cipher, dead the weekend before Super Bowl 54. And again, Kwame, the day he got all the attention was May 15th, which was the big Boule day. And again, the day that Kobe went in the Hall of Fame, inducted by Jordan. And now this thing just got me going, what? Your brother let out a cell 238. Why did... something is off about that. So anyway, maybe somebody will crack it. But we'll leave it there for now.